I'm so big on speaking into my kids and correcting my kids in love because I was so mistreated when I was younger that it was really difficult for me to recognize signs of abuse if it wasn't physical. So, for instance, I told you guys I was in an almost 10-year relationship, right? It took me to leave. I would say, well, I'm going to say to almost leave because I wasn't completely out of the relationship just yet, but I was on my way out. It took me that much time to realize that I was being emotionally and verbally abused. I would also say psychologically, because anytime you deal with a narcissist, they're going to abuse your mental, as well as there was some sexual coercion that happened as well. And we talk about how a lot of the time you don't even realize narcissistic abuse because a lot of them are not overt until they get comfortable. A lot of them, they kind of throw them things out there little by little. And so I talked about in another video about how, like, my next relationship, whenever that comes about, there will be I will not be the butt of the joke, right? So it would be the jokes. It would be, the chipping away at my self-esteem, right? So it would be like little statements that he would make. But like to someone that has not experienced that, you would be like, well, what did he say? What's wrong? So I'll give you guys an example. One of the things that he would do, and I talked in another video about my narcissistic mother, and I always say that like I realize now that I was dating her. So a lot of things correlate, right? One of the things that he would do is if we had a disagreement of any kind, whether he started it, whether we just didn't agree on something, he would get on the phone and he would talk about me in front of me to whoever he was on the phone to. Usually it was one of his family members. Some of them still are his flying monkeys. Um, he would talk about me right up until he moved out. He would talk about me. He would lie on me. He had to get, and they already didn't like me, but he had to get them to the same level of disdain that he had for me so that he could justify his treatment of me, right? And it was so bad because some of them would get around me and we'd be cool. But when they were away from me is when it was clear that they didn't like me or that they weren't fans of mine, right? And I didn't do anything to these people, so they didn't have reason. If you asked them what I did to them, they didn't have a reason. And if you ever asked them why they didn't like me, they would bring up something that they thought that I did to him. They would bring up something that he told them that I did to him. And if he has an ounce of an honest bone in his body, he'll tell you I never did anything to him. Um, so there was that. There would be things where I told you guys the joke about like, when I lost 100 pounds, I put my belly button ring back in, and he made it a point to flip the phone around on FaceTime to show his mother my stomach. Um, what else? Oh, and then okay, so when he would drink, he would start arguments with me, and then the less that I responded, the more aggressive those arguments would get, or the more aggressive he would get. We would have a disagreement, and the minute that I didn't agree, um, anytime that I would like stand up for myself, because his voice was more powerful than mine, like physically, he would start to talk louder than me. And if I couldn't, like, no matter, obviously, I don't have, yes, I can be loud, but I don't got the same vocal capacity that he would have. But just the talking back to him, okay, talking back to him would be enough to set him off. And it started to get to a point for like at the last 2 years where he would walk up on me. And I remember I used to put my arm out and be like, "You're getting too close, you're making me uncomfortable." And he would slap my hand away. Um, I'm gonna come back because I feel myself getting triggered. And I haven't been emotional about this relationship since maybe January. So I'll come back. All right, y'all, I'm back. That was hard for me to get through, but I'm just, in a nutshell, there was just things that he would do or things that he would say, and over time those things would just, they would escalate. He became more aggressive. He became a lot meaner. He became, every time he would get angry with me, his tone would become more and more evil. His tone would become more and more aggressive. His behavior became more and more overt. I remember at some point in the relationship, like, telling myself, like, he don't like me. And I think I said something to him. Now, a healed me that understands what a healthy relationship looks like now, would have been gone. The minute that I would have realized this man does not like me, I would have been gone. Up until the day he left, he was still lying on me. His energy was still real weird around me. My son overheard, like, him degrading me over the phone to his family members. Like I said, he would allow his flying monkeys to disrespect me. And I'm so big on talking to my children a certain way, speaking into my children, making sure that not only do my children know that certain behaviors from people is not healthy and it's not okay and they don't deserve that, and some of those behaviors are and can be considered abusive, but that I practice what I preach. Because it wasn't like I didn't have family members that were telling me, oh, you should not be treated like this and that, but they were the ones doing it. I always say that it took me forever to realize that every toxic relationship that I had ever been in, of any kind, friendship, whatever, were little mini manifestations of my mother. I don't remember if I already said it in this video, but if I did not, I had the revelation that I came to that conclusion because when I recorded that voice note of my mother talking to me crazy over the phone, it wasn't even the worst that she's spoken to me. But I'll never forget, I sent it to him to pretty much let him know what was going on. Like, I'm no contact. You know, you can deal with her if you want to, but I'm not going to, in a nutshell. And he kept saying, I can't believe she talked to you like that. I can't believe that she talks to you like that. And I'm thinking to myself, I sat there when he said it, right? And I looked at him, and in my head, I was like, you talk to me like that. And it all just started to make sense. It was like the whole room just said, like, it all started to make sense. And then I started to think about everything he's ever said to me. Everything any other person that has disrespected me has ever said to me. And they all sounded like her. Like I said, even the negative voice in my head, that critical voice in my head that makes me my own worst enemy sometimes, I literally hear that woman's voice.